Let's start off by revising what autism spectrum disorders actually are. Autism spectrum disorders are neurodevelopmental disorders that ultimately impact the growth and development of the brain and/or the central nervous system. Neurodevelopmental disorders have been documented to affect emotions, behaviour, and learning abilities. The diagnosis of autism spectrum disorders is generally defined during childhood, between the ages of 2 and 3, and depends on the interpretation of a child's observed and reported behaviours. Characteristics of children with autism spectrum disorders typically include difficulties with processing information, trouble using verbal skills, difficulty connecting socially, and behaviours that are inappropriate or undesirable.
Carers and educators of children with autism frequently report behavioural difficulties. These difficult behaviours vary, although some of the most predominant are aggressive, repetitive or non-compliant behaviours, temper tantrums and self-injurious behaviours. There are some aspects that contribute to the behaviour of children with autism. These may include social anxiety, confusion, personal insecurities, sensory difficulties, lack of independence and self-help skills, and difficulty in communication. One way to combat troublesome behaviours in children with autism is through positive behaviour support.
Behaviour support has been documented since the 1970s as an effective method for reducing challenging behaviours in children with autism. Before this time, problem behaviours were often combated with negative reinforcements. This led to punishing the behaviour and resulted in a lack of understanding as to why the behaviour initially occurred. Some of the noted benefits of positive behaviour support are that it is child-centred, outcome-focused, and provides collaborative support. It addresses the individual and is a respectful and dignified method for supporting unique needs. It acknowledges skills, strengths, and goals, and causes positive changes, giving the individual the opportunity to utilise coping mechanisms. The idea of positive behaviour support is to ultimately intervene with effective, socially acceptable and humane ways that will result in a meaningful and lasting outcome for the child.
In order to successfully implement PBS into a classroom setting, an individualised positive behaviour support plan should be collaboratively constructed by teachers, parents and appropriate paraprofessionals. Creating an individualised positive behaviour support plan involves 3 steps: the assessment, the plan development, and the implementation and evaluation. The first step of the positive behaviour support plan is the assessment. Because PBS is based mainly on understanding the meaning behind the behaviour, a clear and concise assessment is vital. The assessment is used to develop an idea about why the behaviour occurs. This assessment needs to take into account the individual's lifestyle, so what conditions or patterns are present in the individual's life that may affect their behaviour. It needs to have the information about the problem behaviour in context. Some aspects that need to be considered are what happens before, during and after the behaviour, what medication is the individual taking, what activities or objects does the individual particularly enjoy, and what strategies have been used in the past to change the problem behaviour. An ABC analysis is then used to record the events that happen before and after the behaviour in order to understand the relating factors of the behaviour. The A stands for the antecedents that occur, the B for the behaviours that follow, and C for the consequences that follow the behaviour. A scatter plot is then created in order to visually observe the frequency of the behaviour. This will give an understanding about the behaviours that occur in various intervals throughout the day. Ultimately, the scatter plot will lead to a better informed hypothesis about the relationship of variables to problem behaviours.
Once the assessments have taken place, an individualised plan is designed that incorporates and addresses any information obtained during the assessment. The plan must include recommendations for lifestyle outcomes and should focus on the building up of new skills rather than on reducing behaviour. Again, it must include procedures that are respectful and dignified to the individual and his or her family, as well as including strategies that fit in with the values, skills, resources and ecology of the team implementing them. One of the most important parts of the positive behaviour support plan is the instruction of new communication skills. We will now show an example of how to achieve these skills.
The final part of the support plan is the evaluation. It is essential to use the data collected in the assessment to provide meaningful information on the effectiveness of the support plan. This should assess any improvements made on the problem behaviour, the use of replacement communication skills, and the achievement of the outcomes outlined for the individual. The team implementing the plan should then agree on an effective way to carry on the effective support plan. This is important as it is very likely for many autistic children that a new trigger will develop over time. The PBS is an ongoing process that is flexible enough to be implemented throughout the individual's life. Positive behaviour support has been really successful with a wide range of students with varying abilities, contexts, and behavioural issues.